there's this phrase now we've had for years that I started, which is build the brain. Like the process of editing is that you don't start out with a brain that is smart enough, that knows the movie well enough, and you will build the brain by trying and failing again and again, all these different variations, until at the very end, you're very smart about your movie.
Hello, and welcome back to The Director's Cut, brought to you by the Directors Guild of America. Today's episode takes us behind the scenes of director Miranda July's new crime drama, Kajillionaire. The film follows two con artists who have spent 26 years training their only daughter to swindle, scam, and steal at every opportunity. During a desperate, hastily conceived heist, they charm a stranger into joining their next scam, only to have their entire world turned upside down. In addition to Kajillionaire, Ms. July's directorial credits include the feature films The Future and Me and You and Everyone We Know. Ms. July spoke with director Greta Gerwig about filming Kajillionaire in front of a virtual audience. Listen on for their spoiler-filled conversation.
I mean, I wish we could do this live. I wish we could be doing this together, because it is, I think it's always so, when I've done stuff at the DGA, it is so special to be able to talk to someone, talk to the director right after the audience has seen the movie, and then everybody's there together. It's like a very, I don't know, I love it. And I love the DGA theater in LA, and I love the DGA theater in New York. I know, but I'm glad to do this. I was telling you before, which I'll repeat for everyone. I love this film. I had seen it before. I mean, I was in the pandemic when I saw it, but I'd seen it before. But then I watched it again, and I feel like it's. I loved it the first time, and then the second time I felt like it resonated in this completely new way. And I think, I mean, I love all your movies and your work and your, I mean, I guess I have this sort of sense of feeling like wanting to ask you, because you work in so many different mediums, like how, this is such a great movie, but when you get an idea or how do you know it belongs to a movie for you as an artist?
Right. Well, I wish I had some like more magical answer, but the truth is I'm sort of just alternating between books and movies. And so when I'm done with a book, I know the next idea is good. I know I'm like, if I don't already have something on the back burner, I'm like, you know, I need a movie, like, so it's not ever, occasionally though, like, you know, like when I was writing the novel I wrote before Kajillionaire, The First Bad Man, I remember thinking, gosh, I kind of wish this was a movie because it has all these twists and turns and that would be fun to do in a movie. And then I think when I then end up making the thing in the other medium, I take the muscles that are still warm, you know, which is I think why Kajillionaire does have like sort of twists and turns and reveals, you know, because I was like, you know, it may have seemed to people forever since I'd done a movie or whatever, but to me, I was like, oh, I'm really, you know, I'm so warm, you know, as far as like conceiving of a world that could be surprising or could, I don't know, keep changing. Yeah.
Right. I mean, I mean, it feels so totally a film, as your novel felt so totally a novel that I can't. It's just, I just find it because like I'm such a, I can't, well, I can't ever imagine writing a novel because it just seems impossible to be alone for that long.
Yeah.
But it reminds me that I think there's something, I'm going to sound sort of pretentious saying this, but there was something Ingmar Bergman said about like, for him, filmmaking is good because it creates this balance between being alone and being with people. And like, it allows him to like go away and not look at anyone while he's writing. And then he can bring in other people. And I guess there's something about you talking about alternating writing and writing books and making films that's, it recalls that for me.
Yeah. and I, you know, being a director was like that was like my high school dream, you know, like what's Miranda gonna be when she grows up? A director. I'm gonna direct movies, you know, like I didn't.
Wait, when
like,
you were in high school though, and you were like, I'm gonna be a director, in your mind, like what did you were like, I'm gonna direct this kind of movie? Did you have like
well, yeah, because like the whole indie film thing was just starting then. And it was so you know, like She's Gotta Have It, and you know, just like basically like guys charging their movies to a credit card and then it all works out, you know, and they
yes,
sell it,
yes,
like
yes,
that story, reading that in the New York Times,
right,
like
yes,
as a like 15-year-old, I was like, okay, you know, I don't exactly see myself in these people, but I am like my parents are writers. I can't just do that. And like I'm a performer. I mean, I but I'm also a writer, you know, like there was a way in which I could see
right.
that was my thing. And then actually it was the short films of Jane Campion. Did you ever see like her student
Yes,
films?
yes. I mean,
Those sort of,
yeah.
yeah. So I saw those too in high school and I was like, okay, you know, I'm not from New Zealand and stuff, but like that, those are so feminine. There was this way in which, because you do actually need to see, not that I was going to make movies just like that, but you do actually have to see someone who looks even remotely like you know,
right.
to really
Yes.
conceive of it. And I think those two things together were like, were the thing. And I, you know, it's been such a weird path, but I never lose that feeling of like, I'm doing my childhood dream, you know,
That's
like,
amazing. That's
yeah.
great. That's like no, I feel that thing of the, like I felt like there was this sort of very, well, I didn't really know about films until like later in my life. I didn't know about movies in any real way until I was in college. But even then, like whatever the fumes of that kind of filmmaking was, like I remember there's some apocryphal story of like P.T. Anderson like dropping out of like NYU film school and making and I was like, that's amazing. He did that thing. Like it felt kind of, I don't know, punk rock, and I could see you at tuning to that. Is something actually you said, or I was just looking over in the, I don't, do you read your press notes? Do you know what are said?
Well, I mean, you know, you go through them. Yeah. You're supposed to read them. Yeah.
Well, you said something about Bright Star, which I just love.
Oh yeah.
And I love that film so much, and I was like stunned by it, and
Yeah.
I don't, anyway, I was happy to see you sort of mention it, the Jane Campion stuff. I remember there was actually something, I feel like, because I've worked with your husband, and I had such a wonderful experience as an actor working with your husband, and then I have I don't know, I would imagine that the way you work with your actors, and this sort of ties to Jane Campion, because I remember there was something about Bright Star that I read that she said she had the two lead actors make each other gifts every day. She didn't know about, and I was like,
right.
oh, wonderful thing. And you know, Mike did such wonderful things with us as actors, and I felt like when I was reading a little bit about like how you worked with your actors, like I mean, I felt very jealous of the experience of being in your film, and I never feel that. Like I'm never like, oh, I wish I could be in it. But I felt like when I was watching these performances, I felt like I could sense this like collaboration between you and the actors. And I know it comes from you, but I just I wondered if you could talk about that. How what do you have them do?
Right. You know, I wouldn't use, you know, we don't usually voluntarily bring up our husbands.
Sorry. Yes, I know.
No. But I mean, I'll bring him up because you are a rare case of someone who's worked with him. So it's not a, and so I can say as a point of reference, we're very different. Okay. In that I I'm coming at it. I'm a writer and I'm an actor, so like those things are, I've been in my movies before this, and as you probably know, you act out all the parts as you're writing. You're all those people, and I don't have like a overly determined sense of myself as a particular age or gender when I'm writing. Like I am Richard Jenkins, part. I am, I am Deborah. Like those roles, I feel like I really feel them. So I think, and I've only gathered this over the years, that from the actor's perspective, I have a very clear, I'm one of those directors who has a very clear idea of what they want, and I don't think you would say that about Mike in the same way. I think I mean, he knows what he wants, obviously, but I think it is so warm and free feeling from what I've seen, and that he, and I think, so having that really specific idea where you've performed it, and yes, you need that. You've brought them in so they can take that much further and do something that you could never do, like give it a soul and go past the thing you can do alone. But that said, this was the first time with this movie where I think where everyone knew my voice, as like, I just purely from having been around long enough, like Winger had read all my books before we even met, like each of these people kind of felt like they knew my world. So not only did I not have to be there, but I could also trust, like, they are here for that very specific idea. They're not like, bothered by it. That's literally why they took the job. And then with that feeling, I could be like, oh, well, then I can let go a little bit, like I don't have, not only do I not have to be in it, to show you, but I also don't have to be hold quite so tightly, to steer something that no one can even conceive of, because actually we know the tone, we know how deep it will go while being funny or whatever, a kind of, which I could see really working against someone like maybe years from now. You're like, wow, I'm not that person. Let me start fresh. I hope I get there. I hope I'm so lucky, But at this point, that was such a gift. And I felt it every day. And I just was like,
yes,
frankly, not very many women writer directors have had this experience. I felt like a fucking king. Yeah.
No, it's also like, it very much felt like when I was watching it, it very much felt like everyone was singing the same song. Like I could hear, like it, I was like, oh, it's all everyone's, everyone's really in this movie in a very like profound way. Actually, it was funny when you were saying. I remember we shared an AD, your AD, Jonas.
Oh yeah.
AD, and I remember he had made your film right before we went to go shoot Little Women, I think.
Yeah.
That's right, yes. And I remember being extremely jealous that he got to be with you. And then he said, I've never been on a movie that went exactly as we said it would go. Like, and I was like, that's a miracle. And I don't know, did it feel that way to you?
That's nice. It was the best filmmaking experience of my life. Not that there weren't, obviously it's just a ridiculously hard job, but I remember driving home each day being like, remembering what my expectations had been at the start of the day. And I was like, I was also really well prepared. Like it was the first time I hadn't had to like spend any time trying to get money, like, which actually you wouldn't, it's like you can prepare and get money, but it's weird. Like it's to not have to do that, to not have to beg, is like I had all this room to just focus on the movie. And I'd spent like a good year before prepping with Sebastian, my DP, and going through every single scene myself. Like there was this way in which I felt like, okay, and now I can just do it. And so I had these expectations. And I remember when I drove home every day with my producer, Yuri, I'd go like this, which meant like, here's my expectations. And it was another day that just like went like that. I didn't do it every day, but like it was, and that was a new feeling for me. I was used to being like, driving home being like, did we get it? And, I don't know, and it was like, well, I just didn't stop till we had. So that wasn't an issue, which was sometimes really annoying to people. But like, I was able to, so it was more like how far past my own, ultimately kind of narrow conception of what this could be did we go. Yeah.
Right. No, that was definitely Jonas's reporting later.
I remember him going on you and feeling very affirmed, like, yes, like he's so great. Anyways,
he's wonderful. I mean, he's just. I mean, I feel very good with him, and then also so you said something that I want to ask you about, which is the way you had prepared with your DP all the way leading up to it. And I just, I mean, I think it's so beautiful. It's so, it's exactly how LA feels to me, which I don't live there, but when I'm there, it somehow feels like your movie. It's so funny. There's something about Old Dolio too, the way she is, it looks like, it reminds me of like a character in a David Lynch movie, like the character in the David Lynch movie Behind the Dumpster in Mulholland Drive, who like comes out, even though it's a man and it's terrifying.
No.
It's like you took that character and then did this, like let her do the breast crawl emotionally in your movie. But I mean, but it felt like a thing that grows out of like a kind of unconscious LA. And I just, the images, however you guys found it, it was just incredibly resonant and to me. And I think I just want to so when you have all this time to prepare with your DP, you're not in the same place. So you're exchanging images. Are you drawing little pictures? Are you like, I think we're going to shoot this scene here. What do you think of it? Or how does it work?
Well, we did it. He's Danish. So we were like this, and we did this once a week. They would be like 2 or 3 hour sessions. And we initially it was just like fun and loose, he had shot a short film of mine, and that's when I was like, okay, no matter who lures you in between, just go with this guy, because you already know that works, and it hasn't always been the case. So we exchanged, photo references, film references, and then we started almost randomly picking like 3 scenes a week that we would talk about. We would each come with ideas, and sometimes we'd be like, oh, I watched this movie, I rewatched Bright Star, there's this scene where this happens, and it's not even like there's that movie has like almost no overlap with my movie, but it gives you a common language.
No, of course.
Talking about essentially like bodies in space, like, oh,
right.
Well, when Evan and Gina are together, there was actually a scene in the kitchen that was framed. I remember we used Bright Star as a way of talking about how to frame two people in love and or falling in love. And then we, would get real detailed actually. I mean, with minus locations, we'd have little, whatever they're called, little maps, of like where the camera is and stuff.
Yes.
Just schematics. And we made decisions then like, there's a somewhat long oneer when they come out of the bathroom all the way through to where she crawls. Yeah. And into the mini mart and out, and there's, multiple people, I had never done one of those like so long, in fact, it seemed a little macho to me, like, so you didn't cut, like, but suddenly I was like, we have to do that for this because it has to really happen, like it'll be a million little setups, interior, exterior, if we don't do it in one, and that's no fun. And this is such a crucial scene that no matter all the challenges of that, and I knew, like that Sebastian would operate and that we were good, like the four of us, me, him, Gina, Evan, were like kind of like a pretty high level team, at that I was confident. Yeah. I mean, it was just my favorite. It was like getting to live the dream, be inside the dream together, I mean.
And how did you which one is it? How many did you do?
We did 17 takes and it's the 17th because I was so used to like go till you get it. And so and then I knew, I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel like when you're on set that the take that works, and does that stick?
Right. I mean, I feel like I know that I've gotten the thing that I was writing, and that I had in my head, but what I don't know is what ultimately the movie will need.
Right.
And that's where the great chasm is. And I always tell Mike, like, I love editing. Mike likes it less. And I always, there's this phrase now we've had for years that I started, which is build the brain. Like the process of editing is that you don't start out with a brain that is smart enough, that knows the movie well enough to know what it needs.
Right.
So don't even freak out at the beginning, because it's not on you, it's on the future person. And you will build the brain by trying and failing again and again, all these different variations, until at the very end, you're very smart about your movie.
Right.
And you have built the brain, it, and you have a lot of quick decisions right near the end where you're doing things that you wouldn't have been bold enough or smart enough to do. And it's just because of the sheer time spent anyways. It's AI gathering information or something.
I mean, I feel like that's even true sometimes in filmmaking itself, or like as you get later, deeper into a shoot. Sometimes you'll be like, put the camera here, and we're doing this.
Right.
And then you're like,
I know, right. I guess it's an obvious thing. Yeah.
But no,
on the last day, you're like, and now I'm ready. Now I'm ready to make a movie. Yeah.
Well, it's like you learn how to, you've never, every time you make a movie, you've never made that movie, and you learn how to make it by making it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And so, I know it's, that's so interesting. I feel like editing is, it's something that no one loves.
Oh, no one loves it. I kind of like it.
He loves it, and I've gotten I more love it, but I always have that sense of like, it's just like wanting to throw up when you first look at everything, and you're like, every time you see a cut, or every time I see a cut, you're like, what are we doing? Like,
right.
this feels crazy. But I was a friend of mine who's written a film to make. She's not made a film before, but she's great. She's wonderful, and she wrote this great script. And she's been working in theater. And I was like, oh, the thing about movies is you never see the movie if you're making. Like
right.
you kind of never get to see the movie. Like
right, yeah.
the movie will never be in front of you.
Yeah.
That's something for other people.
Right.
Like, and it was, as I said it, I was like, that's so sad. And it's true.
I know.
Like you kind of, like the most it's ever yours, or when I'm thinking about this movie, is like when you're planning it with your DP, when it's in your head, when it's written, like you start sort of shadow boxing and playing it for yourself. And then I don't know if you feel that way or if that's just me.
Right. It's funny. It's a little bit like, you know how you never get to have your child?
But yes.
Like you're always with them. You have many fleeting, incredible moments.
Yes.
But I think there's an idea before you have a child that there's some kind of, you really scratch that itch. You finally get like total love and intimacy. And I think with a film also, to me, I often feel very like it's a romance, kind of like it's intense. Right. It's like but it never consummates. Like
no,
it's like a tease all the way through, which of course means you have to make another one and another one.
I know. It's so true. You're right. It does feel just like, it's sort of like, also because, you know, I mean, I can watch rough cuts, but I'm just like everybody else. Like I like the bells and whistle of like color correct, sound mix. I do. That changes the way I see it. And like by the time I'm in that point in making a film, it's over. I so can't even look at it anymore, that that like final glossy present part is just, not part of it. But I don't know. That was a digression.
No.
But I think it's I think, does it for you, does it feel do you, that sort of sense of chasing it, do you sense as a filmmaker, is there something similar you feel with a novel, or it's not quite the same thing?
No, it's similar. Like it's not you have with a novel like the illusion of control. You think, well, it's all on me, I have total control. But I don't actually think if we're trying to show what life feels like, through any means possible, not necessarily realistically, but emotionally, then you actually maybe don't want total control, right? Because that is one of the most sort of aching things about life. And to show that, you might not be able to use a means that, can even has perfection contained within it as a possibility, which is why I think I sometimes, as I go back and forth, I think possibly filmmaking is the one that's better at getting at life. And for all the reasons that drive me crazy, I think like, well, in the end, you have these jagged, broken pieces that you're trying to figure out how to put together, but that's more lifelike.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Or it's like that thing, or to go to editing, or there's that like about editing with using the footage. You've got to dance with the date that brung you. Like whatever that footage is, you got to make the movie out of that footage, which it's always like do you have this sense when you cut it all together? Like also, I mean, just, I don't know if this is, I'm just interested in what you if you share this, or the sense of like when you have a cut that's pretty good, it's not done yet, but you're like, okay, that looks like, do you ever have that sense of like, I mean, I'm relating this in a couple of ways with the child, like you're a metaphor of like a child, like you never really, there's no having to be had. Is ever in Boyhood, when Patricia Arquette, and he's like leaving for college, and she's like, I thought there would be more.
Right.
When she said that, I was like, that's how I feel about movies every time. Like, I'm always like,
Yeah.
isn't there more? Didn't we shoot more? Is this
I
the
know.
only thing we made? Or like in my mind, it was everything, but I guess it's
Right.
this thing. I don't know.
I know. I think like with this one, I remember like thinking as I wrote it, like, this is one where the ending has to work because it's all built. Like I can have fucked up in ways I'm not aware of for a while in this movie, and I did. But I have to, the ending has to land, and it all builds towards that. So as it goes on, there's less and less room for the script not to work as planned. So I remember always feeling, and I knew, I mean, after the assembly, I was, as you said, like, I remember actually I had my head down, my lovely editor who, I adore, but this was our first day. And I remember I had put my head down afterwards and I was like, how rude, don't lift your head up until you're sure you're not crying, because that would be such an insult, and then I just was like pulling it together, and then I suddenly realized that's not gonna you're gonna be down here forever.
Oh no, yes.
You have to lift your head up. And so I lifted my head up and I said, I think the ending works.
Oh.
And
I'm amazed that you watch an assembly at all. I can't do
right.
that at all.
Yeah, some people don't do it that way, but I know it works as well as any other process.
Yes, right. I mean, it doesn't save you. You think it'll save you to just watch like 3 minutes at a time, but it doesn't do anything.
Yeah. But anyways, so I kind of had that the whole time, this feeling like, well, the essential thing works even if I have to like do a lot of other stuff. That feeling, I remember watching it, once it's done, or with people always thinking, okay, we're almost to the part where it starts getting good, and then at a certain point being like, okay, that was the good part, huh? And at that point, you're so grateful that most people are not you,
Yeah.
And there's this sort of miracle that happens of like people just getting to have it all at once, and the music and all the bells and whistles you talked about. And it is a different thing. And I do believe that some sort of alchemy happens.
Yes.
Like truly, possibly like something mystical, and that's what the eagle in fact stands for on this DGA logo. It's the mystical thing that happens that between you finishing it and the audience seeing it and their completion of it.
Yes. What happens is the DJ song plays, the eagle lands.
Yeah. Yeah. And it turns out it can happen, having now, released a movie in a pandemic. It doesn't have to happen in the theater. We love it too. We would like it to, but I had this other experience this time, and it can happen alone. It's inside people, Yeah.
Do you, with cuts, do you screen for people? Like,
oh yeah.
Oh, so you screen and you say, and you ask them questions, or how do you, I mean, is it small enough groups that you can talk to them?
I did that. Yeah, I talk to them sometimes. It's nice to not be in it finally, so people aren't like, whoa,
Right.
And, I think it comes from having, I also perform live and always have. And that process is so brutal. Like,
so, yeah,
you're doing it and they don't need to tell you, you can tell what's not working. You can feel it, and that is in fact the process of how you make it better and better, or that's how I did things. So I'm not super precious. And I also am not like, I'm not afraid that my vision is going to get changed by what people want. Like, that's not a thing, Right. Like,
right.
It's it's like, you know what you want them to feel, and if they're not feeling it, you do that in your own way, not whatever solutions they would come up
Do you
with.
ever find, this is like it's not more an artistic thing, but like I always find that like sometimes with things, when you show it's like you're looking to make sure it works and it's landing, but then there's always something that you'll just hear, if you hear from like 5 people, like you'll realize something is confusing that would never occur to you.
Oh God.
Confusing because you didn't like, and then you're like, oh, I guess everybody thinks this is this part, or this, even like a name or something. They might be like,
and you're like, wait, what? How is it not obvious that? Yeah.
And then you're like, then you'd be like strange, like ADR to try to fix it. Or,
you're giving me a little PTSD. Yeah, no, totally. And
but
you
it's funny because you don't. Of all the problems you see coming, there's always some just almost like technical thing that you're like, oh,
right.
That didn't. Okay.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that.
Yeah, and then for everything like that, there's something that works that really shouldn't.
Yes.
Like,
or it's always like amazing. Like
you're like, you bought that. And
they're like, or they say something, or like you feel like you maybe just fix something, and they're like, oh no, because that was the horse that, and you were like, oh well, I mean,
it's always the horse too. Yeah.
Yeah. That was the same horse that was in the party.
Even though it was a okay, yeah.
But, and it's just like,
I know.
But I feel like I feel like in some ways, like I find it's painful to show people, but I also think it's useful. It just in terms of like, well, how are they seeing it?
Yeah.
How, and what are the things that aren't?
There is though something like I've tried to remind people of recently who've had screenings that if you know something's not done, watch it a little bit differently, right?
Yes, you do. That's true.
My best example of that, which was, thank God, so early that I have been able to apply it since, and same goes with manuscripts or whatever,
yes,
is that my first movie, Me and You and Everyone We Know, which was like a comedy, right? That was how I wrote it. That was how it was conceived of. And never at any point in any screening was there laughter. And before it was done. And I just remember nonetheless tinkering away till all the lines that were supposed to be funny landed in a way that I thought was funny. And then like it premieres at Sundance, and it's like, I'm listening to like, yes, and here's the laughter where I did it, and
right.
And I remember someone who worked on the movie, someone close to me afterwards being like, did you have any idea it was funny? And me being like, yes. But it was such a good, like, of course, why would she think it was funny? Literally no one had laughed,
Right.
Because.
But I always, it's so interesting, like the thing of, I feel like I've had that too, where someone's like, oh, that's what you were doing. And I was like, I can't believe you agreed to do this movie.
Dry, painful, yeah.
Like I was like, oh, that's so nice that you wanted to work on it, given that you have no idea.
Or charity case, yeah.
You're like, it's like in your mind, it was just going to be like a bad, sad movie.
Yeah. I know. So that thing you hold inside and that doesn't, that you need, like, you need to be like, this is done.
Yes.
It is complete. No more no more question, just enjoy it. And it's pleasure. I think it's most happens with pleasure, because how the fuck are you supposed to enjoy something if you have to project your own anxiety of failure onto the director and the producers? And I always sit there and I'm like, dear God, let this not be painful or awful for them. Such lovely people, like.
Right. Yes, I totally, I 100% understand that. I feel like I keep having different thoughts that flit through my mind and then leave. But I feel like I could keep having this discussion for a long time. I mean, I think one thing, I just as a sort of do you feel as a director, I mean, it's like you talked about the sort of different experiences. Is there like, when you think after this novel and then whatever the next movie is, do you have a sense of like, I don't know, is there something,
The end
feel like
game.
an ultra marathon as a director that you feel like you have to run, or I mean, like, do you feel like you feel like you don't know the person you'll be, or does like a small part of you be like, there's gonna be a time when I make a movie like this and I'm
Oh, right. Well, one thought is, because I work in these different mediums, I won't get to make as many movies as I want to. And
right.
that is fine. It's not even really a sacrifice. It's just because I get this whole other career, but it's bittersweet. And so I often am doing the math of like, how old could you possibly be and still, be making a movie? And now we have like Agnes Varda, there's not many examples, but like, I hold them dear, the ones that I can relate to. And then so part of it is just like, keep chugging along at your own unique pace, regardless of what happens. And then I guess I always kind of know what I'm doing for the next 5 years. I have a little piece of paper on my desk that if you looked 5 years from now, you'd see, oh, every one of those things were written down. And then I, cross them off, and they're in all different mediums. And they are really exciting and challenging to me. And no one knows, there's not one person.
And do you update the list every year, or you just?
I only just recently made a new one after it being the same for years and years.
Oh my goodness.
Kajillionaire was on there, so anyways, each one of those things is really like, I feel giddy about, and so I guess, that's one answer.
One observation I want to make, and then I think we're sort of at the end of our rope, as it were. But one thing I loved about this movie, it's so much about family, which I'm deeply relating to right now in an even different way. But it's also, there's something about the the heist element that felt to me like making a movie, which I was like, oh, that's sort of what we're sort of like lying and avoiding our line producers, and just like this, that sort of thing of
and it's very high stakes, feeling each thing.
It's like pretend too. Like,
right.
It's high stakes for us, but like the minute you're like, you don't have to do any of it.
Right. No one said you had to be a director. Yeah.
No.
It's it's a very old, like, I've had the heist thing in my back pocket since I was a kid, because I grew up watching Mission Impossible very in a kind of religious way with my brother and my dad. And there was a way in which the anxiety of whatever the team was doing in any given episode kind of matched the anxiety of the home, and everything was like, not just tense, but also had the potential for reversals where someone might, take off their mask and the good person is bad or the bad person's good. So I felt like it was there for the taking for me, for that metaphor, and actual financial and kind of cultural anxiety also there in my upbringing. Actually, when in Lady Bird, I kind of, I was like, I think I was already writing. Yeah, I was writing Kajillionaire when I saw it, and I was like, right, this would be a more real way to get at some of the same things. I admired that, like a more, I can never be literal because I like fail at being not like you were, like it was some gritty,
No, 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 no,
realistic.
no, no. I know it. I know what you mean. It's
Yeah. But it was cool. It was sort of like you did it. It deeply satisfied me, and so I was sort of free to do my own thing because, like, well, even if I tried, I'd just be doing Greta's thing. So and badly. So I'll do it in my way.
right. No, it's like something I said before I saw your movie. It's like, I feel like with films, you should always feel a little bit like, it's like two flip sides of the same coin. It's like, on the one hand, you sort of like can't believe nobody's ever made this movie before. And on the other hand, you're like totally getting away with something. Like, it's like, wait, what? You're going to let me do this? Like, just keep running. They're not going to.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. The heist of it. I know. And so intricate, and
yeah,
I love all that. And I also like, I mean, like me and my brother used to build secret compartments into furniture that he would make. And like, it's the same thing with movies. It's like, you gotta love the intricacy, and like, like you press this button and this pops out, and that like, and it is, so that part was just so fun. I mean, there was more, I really like, in a way, that was my biggest mistake, was at the top of the movie, there was like 12 times as much intricate heist stuff, which I could watch all day. Richard Jenkins doing hilarious, weird heist things. But in the end, I was like, oh, you got to know it's Old Dolio's movie.
Right.
That was probably my biggest, when we talk about things you get right when you're shooting, but you don't realize later, like, I don't need 10 scenes like that.
Oh.
We get it,
Yes, I know. It's always, and I also feel like I never have the sense of like, you always wish you could take one lesson, and you're like, the one lesson to learn is don't do, and then you're like, then the next time it's the opposite thing.
Right.
You didn't have enough setup or whatever it is. And so it's like, I feel like you're always, it's like, it is that thing of you learn how to make the movie by the end of the movie. But
yeah,
I really, I loved this one. I loved talking to you. I'm really excited to wait for the next one. But I'm gonna get the book first.
Yeah. I can't wait to see what you're making as well. Yeah.
Right now, it's I'm just gonna go make my kids dinner.
Yeah. That too. But thank you so much, Greta.
Thank you. And but I'd like to do this.
I know.
In person, and just, and miss you, and
I miss you too.
Love to everyone, and congratulations.
Yeah.
Bye. Bye.
Thanks for listening to another DGA Q&A. If you'd like to hear more, The Director's Cut is available wherever you listen to podcasts. Stay tuned in the coming weeks as we bring you discussions of films from David Fincher, Lee Daniels, and Robin Wright. And be sure to subscribe, rate, and review. We'd love to hear your feedback, and you can help fellow film buffs find the show. This podcast is produced by the Directors Guild of America. Music is by Dan Wally.